thoughts on that?
Well, the lawyer, he didn't get a hold of me. My mom was told by Daryl Lewis that I was denied the retrial, and then I called her up and she told me, and then naturally I was kind of floored, by it, because I always have hope and faith that some will happen, But I guess I should have expected it, I've been toyed with and stung by the state throughout this whole ordeal, so I should have expected it, but still it hurt, it hurt.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the nitty-gritty here of the situation. Going back to the night of, okay?
Okay.
Were you involved in any way in the murder of John Harper?
No, I was not.
And kind of intertwined with that is, you weren't driving the car. You weren't. Did you have any contact with these guys that night that also sort of time to describe?
I did see them at a reception. Not all at the same time though. It's kind of like I seen one and then I didn't see him later on that night. Seen another one and then just said hi and goodbye kind of thing. Then my car, it was no getaway car like they said it was. I didn't have nothing to do with the murder.
So I have to just ask one more time. You were not driving the car that night and related to that incident?
No, I was not driving that car related to any violent means that night.
As far as you know, was your car used?
As far as I know, no, it was not.
How about the robbery and assault of Franklin Dayton Jr. that occurred outside of the wedding reception that you were at?
Yeah.
Did you have any involvement in that assault at all?
No, I did not. Did you
witness the assault?
Tell you the truth, I was inside when that happened. I figured because I was inside and then I went, I think, to use the bathroom, and I seen him coming down the stairs. So I figured I was inside when that happened.
So you saw him coming down the stairs after he had obviously been assaulted?
Yeah, I seen. I didn't know who it was at the time, but he was a native man, and he looked like he had a right cut over his right eye. I think it was his right eye. And he sat on this little, it's kind of like a green heater. He was sitting there. There might have been somebody around him at the time. And I said, I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah. Can you give me a sense of, maybe this is a tough question, but a sense of the night? By all accounts, in terms of calls to the police and so forth, it was a pretty wild night. Did you get a sense of that? Were you out? You were at the wedding reception.
Yeah.
You were at several other locations that night. Did you get a sense at all of that there was something in the air that night?
Well, I wasn't at too many places that night.
Okay.
No, I was mostly at the reception.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if I got a sense of anything that night. I know there was a lot of people out. I know the wedding was joyous, I guess you could say. I don't think I got a sense of anything bad happening that night,
What was your reaction when the police first picked you up?
Oh, man, it's like a bad nightmare, They didn't pick me up. They first questioned me after the day after I think the assault happened. So I think it was a Sunday, or I think it was a Saturday night. They questioned me at my house, and then I guess they thought I was acting suspicious or something. So they said, "Can you go downtown with us?" "Nah, I have nothing to hide," you know. So I said, "Okay, sure, I'll go downtown." And then they put me in a little room, and then I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 officers, not at one time, but maybe 2 or 1 at a time. They'd go after, they'd interview me, and they switch officers. I think try to do the good cop, bad cop routine, and they just kept grilling me, and I just kept saying, "I'm innocent. I don't know what you're talking about."
So when they picked you up, did you have any idea what it was in reference to?
No, he said an assault on a young man, and then as the interview was going on and on, he kept giving me details about what happened, and then it dawned on me that I'm a suspect in something I didn't even do. So I just kept telling him I was innocent, and finally they gave me a ride home. But before they dropped me off at my house, they took me to the scene of the crime, and Detective Ring, he was sitting behind me in I think it was a car, and he was like going close to my head. I was sitting in the front, I think, and he was trying to intimidate me, saying well, I don't know if I should go into it, but he was just trying to intimidate me, and I was sitting in the front seat. I think there was 2 or 3 police officers that escorted me home.
So he was sitting in the back seat.
Yeah.
You were in the front of the cruiser.
Yeah.
And he took you to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
And
he said, "This is where it happened. Just say you did it, stuff like that, you know."
So
I was scared.
Sure.
Yeah.
Prior to you being picked up, what was your feeling towards the police?
Well, I always had a high regard for the police department, you know. When I was younger, I even thought I wanted to be a police officer, you know. But no, I always had a high regard for the police department, you know. Now that regard is kind of low. Yeah.
At what point in this process, this particular night, so it was a Saturday night that they picked you up?
I think, yeah, the interview.
And they took you an interview. At what point did you get a sense that things were sort of going sour, that you got a little skeptical? You said you were scared. I mean, initially were you just thinking, well, maybe this was some confusion, and sure enough it would be taken care of?
Yeah, I was surprised and confused at the same time, I guess. They interviewed me at my house, first off, like I said, in the living room. Actually, it was outside my house, and they kept interviewing me, and then I was confused. I was never in trouble with the law before, you know. And then they said, "Come downtown with us," and I volunteered to go. And they interviewed me in that little room, and that's when I got kind of figured out that I was a suspect.
Do you feel like you made an error in judgment at that point, maybe agreeing to go downtown? Do you feel like if you could go back and do it again, you might say, wait for a lawyer or anything like that, or you just had a situation where you felt you had nothing to worry about?
If I have nothing to hide, then I'll do it again. I'll do it again. Yeah, because I got nothing to hide.
So we established you were at the wedding reception. It's your understanding you were at the wedding reception at the time that these crimes were committed?
Yeah. The times were established, I think.
And people that were at that reception, you feel there were people who saw you there and can basically attest to the fact that you were there?
Yeah.
Now, during the trial, that in fact did happen, where there was testimony that you were there, witnesses?
Yeah, I had excellent alibi witnesses.
And given that you had witnesses, you feel they were excellent witnesses. Could you possibly conceive of the jury not believing them?
I don't know what was going on in the jury's mind, you know. I mean, it was supposedly a jury of my peers, but I didn't think it was at that time, you know. I still don't think it is. I don't know why they convicted me. It's a nightmare, you know.
Marvin, why not take the stand?
My lawyer didn't feel I needed to at that time, and we thought we had a good enough case where I didn't need to, you know. But maybe I should have, but who knows what the outcome would have been. Maybe I'd still be in here, you know.
But do you spend any time thinking about that, about, again, going back and saying, give me a chance to do it again? Would you want to take a stand in your own defense?
Maybe I would. I'm not sure now. I don't really like rehash the events every day, you know. It happened, and then I just got to move on and go to the next step. And maybe in the next trial, if I do get one, maybe I might take the stand. Who knows?
What are your thoughts about this whole process? I mean, you've mentioned a little bit here and there about it, but what are your feelings about the process as a whole?
You mean?
Judicial process
Oh.
and everything going on.
That's a hard question. Some parts of the process I don't like, and some I do like, you know. In some countries, you're guilty right from the start, you know, so at least now you have a chance to fight it and keep fighting it if you have to.
You said it's supposed to, you said it's supposed to be a jury of my peers.
Yeah.
But you get a sense that might not have been the case. What did you mean by that?
Well, I don't know how to really answer that question. I don't know, the jury, it just seemed, they were, how do I answer that it was kind of like seems like they were all middle, upper class, you know. None of them had a racial background other than being Caucasian, you know. I don't think none of them was younger than 21. So in kind of that sense, that's how I seen them, as they weren't a jury of my peers.
What are you going to do with your life after this? About that?
Well, if I do get out, you mean if I do get out? Well, if I'm lucky, if I do get out, I want to start a family, you know. I want to get a good job, own a house. Want to do all the stuff that freedom will bring.
What is your sentence? What did they end up?
They gave me 43 years with 10 suspended.
And for someone who claims to be innocent, and again, considering all things in terms of the trial and so forth that we've discussed, I mean, how does that sentence, the length of that is sort of breathtaking, considering all that? I mean, how do you look at that? How do you feel about that?
Well, when I got convicted, that was the big blow right there, and then everything after that, it couldn't compare to that being convicted, you know. But the sentence it is lengthy, but if I have to do all these years, I feel I can do it. I feel I have a strong mind, you know. I have faith in God. He's been with me ever since it started, so I feel I could do all these years. My family's been there for me, my supporters. That's how I cope every day in here, you know. Like just the other day, I got a letter from one of my buddies. He said, "Don't give up." And it just made my day, you know. It's every once in a while I get a letter that says, "Don't give up. We're still behind you," you know. So it's just got to have a strong mind, strong heart, strong will, you know. I feel I will survive this, even if I don't get this next trial, you know. There will be a light at the end of this tunnel. I will see freedom, no matter what, even if I have to do all these years. So I just got to keep my mind on the right track. Yeah.
Let me take you back just for a minute.
Okay.
You mentioned that the conviction was the thing.
Yeah.
That was a tough part. And maybe you can just talk about for a second what went through your mind when you heard that sentence.
Well, when I was in that courtroom, I had a sense that something bad was going to happen, because I looked at that jury and I said, I was thinking, none of them are looking at me, you know, none of them want to look me in the eye, and I was thinking that that's a bad sign. And then I got convicted, and then I was surprised, you know. It didn't hit me, not right then, but kind of later on, that I did get convicted, you know. It's like I kind of like got traumatized, you know. Like my system didn't want to believe it, I guess, or something like that.
Are you angry at anyone? Are you angry at anyone?
Well, I try not to get angry at anyone. Anger is a bad thing. If you let it control you, then you're not in your right state of mind, you know. So, but sometimes I do get angry. I get angry at some of the detectives at the police department here in Fairbanks. Get angry at the judicial system, at the jury. I can't always control it, you know, but some days I do get angry at them.
Can you tell me about the anger towards the police detectives and just
I think that might be the biggest anger right there, if you could say that. I figure it all started with them, you know. They had this case solved from day one, you know, and they wouldn't look at other leads. They put 4 of us together, said, "You guys did it. That's it. Case closed." And I wish they would have did their job differently.
Can we talk for a second about those 3 other guys? You just mentioned that, but do you feel they're innocent? Do you feel that they had something to do with it? I mean, where do you
I feel they're innocent just like me.
How do you, and where does that come from? How do you get that sense?
Well, we've all established our alibis, but I've gotten to know them pretty good over the years in here, in jail. And I feel they didn't do it. Just like I know I didn't do it.
That's about the plea bargain, that offer from the prosecutor.
Yeah. You were offered, at some point, you were offered a deal?
Yeah, I was out on bail, and my lawyer, he called up my house, my mom's house, and he said he wanted to talk to me, so I drove down there, and he talked to me in his office. He said, Marvin, what would you take a deal if they only gave you manslaughter for 5 years? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, wow, they're offering me a deal. And I said, because they've just came at me like a freight train from day one. I didn't think they'd ever let up. And I was like, wow, that's surprising. But I said to myself, why would I take a deal for some I didn't do? Why would I take a deal? And they wanted me to say I did it, and then to testify against my co-defendants and say they did it, And I couldn't. First off, I couldn't say I did it because I didn't do it, So I told my lawyer, no deal.
Have you wavered on that at all? I mean, again, I've asked you a few times to look back, and hindsight being 20/20, but have you questioned that decision at all?
No, never. Never questioned that decision. I know I'm innocent, and I'm going to live with that till the day I die, I guess. God knows I'm innocent, and I wish the justice system knew that I was innocent,
You mentioned that when the detectives first were talking to you, they had you pretty well convinced that maybe your car had been involved?
Yeah, they kept saying, they said something to the effect, well, I don't know if I should go into it, but I'll try to go around. They said something to the effect of, we know your car was there, or something like that. And then they had me convinced that my car was there. I was like, okay, if my car was there, then I wasn't there, I was thinking at that time maybe somebody stole my car or something when I was at the reception, and then brought it back. But that's pretty big if, but that's what I thought that time,
And that was, when they were asking you about the car, that was the first time that they brought you in to the interview?
Yeah, that was the first interview. That was, I think, Saturday night.
And going back to a question I had about the other three that night, can you clarify again what you saw all three of them, or a couple of them, and where?
All at the reception hall. Like I said, I didn't see all three of them together. It was kind of like I'd see one, and then maybe 45 minutes to 2 hours later, I'd see another one. I'd say hi and how you doing, and then it's kind of like a hi and goodbye thing. Seen them all at the reception hall. Eagles.
Why do you think the police put you all together?
Well, I think I heard this from my lawyer. He said, he might have said that the police department had a copy of the Howard Loop alternative yearbook. So I think he seen some pictures in there, and I don't know how he got them, got the pictures together. I think he seen my picture in there, and I think I was only I was one of the only young people with a car that night, and he seen our pictures in the yearbook, and he said, okay, that's how we're going to get him, I guess.
Could you go through what you feel comfortable of where you were that night?
Well, most of the time I was at the reception hall, but before that, I was at my house almost that whole night before I drove down to the reception hall. So one of my buddies, Daniel Huntington, he passed away, but he called me up and said, "Can you come pick me up?" So I said, "Sure," and then we drove around for a little bit, just to maybe run some time off the clock before we got down to the reception hall. We got down there, and then I was there most of the night, I think periodically I might have left, but this was probably later on that night. I don't know if I should go into times, but I was mostly at the reception hall.
You might get a Coke or a girl?
Yeah, I did. I think I did. I don't think I should go into that though. Not at this moment.
After the reception, you didn't go straight home?
Yeah, I don't know if I should go into that either. It might come back to hurt me if I get a new trial. So, if I decide to take the stand, so.
Why should people believe you?
Why should they believe me? I don't know how to answer that. What do you mean by why should they believe me?
Most people are going to think this is America. The jury's going to come in with the right verdict. I mean, probably before any of this happened to you.
Yeah.
Would you have thought that all this could happen?
Well, I've watched movies where people got wrongly convicted, and then I didn't ever think it was going to happen to me. I wish people would see the truth, I wish they'd take a real good look at this case and try not to be biased against me just because they think the government is always right, because people do make mistakes, and I think a lot of people of the justice system made a mistake against me and my co-defendants. And hopefully, and I pray every night that the truth comes out.
How much do you feel racism played a factor here? Sitting here right now?
It might have played a big factor in this, Some people are just racist against natives or blacks or of different ethnic varieties, I think the police department was kind of racist towards us. Like I said, it all started with them, They could have stopped it if they wanted to. They could have looked at other leads, But they decided to pursue the case. I don't know why. But I think racists had a big part to do with this.
During the trial, was there a part where you just thought, okay, this person just said I'm not in my place. I'm definitely going to get off here?
Yeah. There was actually more than one person, my alibi witnesses, they weren't drinking that night. A couple of them even had me down pinpointed to times that I was at Eagles. And when they took the stand, I guess you could say my heart, it swelled because, I said, the jury has to believe these people, How are they going to believe the state's shaky witness over my witnesses? you know. And
But it happened.
but it happened, you know.
What do you think what kind of a lesson should people learn from just people in the state, you know? What should people learn from seeing your case? Should we be more wary of the cops?
Yeah. Try to look at all things at a different angle, you know. Don't always believe the police department, you know, because they could lie to you. Sometimes they will, as in my case, you know. Don't always believe everything like that's in the newspapers. Don't always believe everything that the police says or the DA says, you know. Try to see the truth behind everything, I guess.
One other question I wanted to ask was what can people who support you do to help? What's helpful to you, just individually? Letters?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting letters, but I'm not forcing people to write me, you know, but I wouldn't mind getting support letters. That really helps, but I think if more people, if my supporters, they do a good job, you know. My mom, she's my biggest supporter, you know. And well, actually, I should say God's my biggest supporter, but my mom's a real close second, you know. If people wanted to help me, me or my co-defendants, they could write letters to the governor, legislation, senators, representatives, you know, judges maybe even. I'm not sure about that, but if they wanted to help, they could write support letters for us, you know, saying we think he's innocent, you know, or they're innocent.
We kind of finished up with the main questions that we want to get out.
Yeah.
And I told you we wouldn't pepper you from all different. Is this all right with you?
Yeah, this is all right. I'm comfortable.
I guess we're just going to try to get other questions out there.
Okay, that's good.
When were you arrested? I mean, the police robbed you off back at your house?
Yeah.
When did they come back and arrest you then? The next day or?
The next day. I don't know if it was, I think it was around maybe, I'm not sure about the time, but it was the next day, either late morning or early afternoon.
Were you shocked?
Yeah, I was real shocked. They pounded on my door and said, "We have a search warrant and arrest warrant or whatever for Marvin Roberts," and then they handcuffed me and brought me to a squad car, read me my rights, brought me down to the police station and tried to interrogate me again and say, "We know you did it, we know you did it." I just kept telling them I was innocent, you know. Yeah.
You were 20 years old then?
I was 19.
And now you're how old?
24. Just had my birthday about a week ago, so.
And what's the earliest you could be looking at parole hearing?
I asked one of the probation officers here, and they told me, we looked over my work, and they said I could look at parole in, I think it was 2005. So that's the earliest.
How do you pass the time? Is it slow? Is it fast?
Well, sometimes it's slow, and other times it's fast, you know. Like these past, I don't know, I've been here 10 months, I think. It's been kind of quick here, because I've been close to my family, you know. So they get to visit me a couple times a week, and I look forward to those visits and to help pass the time. Other than that, I read books, you know. I don't know. I must have read close to 700 to 1,000 novels, you know. And once I get where I'm going, like maybe Seward, or hopefully they don't send me to Arizona prison, but if they do, I'm gonna try to take college courses. And so, yeah, reading and listening to music, writing letters.
When you look back at the kid who was 19, do you feel a lot older now?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be talking to someone, they say, how old are you? And I'll say 23 or 24, you know, and I tell them that I feel a lot older, though, because I've been through so much, you know. Yeah, it's been through a lot of stress, you know. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it's not actually a story, it's just during my trial, I got my first gray hair, so yeah, so that's how bad it was during my trial, you know. So I've been through a lot, and I feel older than 24, you know. I might look like I'm 19, 20, but my mind it's a lot older than 24, I think.
Do you ever wake up and just think for a minute when you're out, you dream that this is just a bad dream or something?
Every once in a while, I'll sit there and I'll think, what am I doing in here, you know? When am I going to wake up? When is this nightmare going to be over? Because I never ever dreamed that I'd be in jail for murder, you know, convicted of something I didn't do. And I just sit there and I think, when is it all going to end, you know?
You mentioned seeing the other three.
Yeah.
While in jail. And you got a chance to talk to these guys a little bit here and there.
Yeah, we've become real close during this whole nightmare, you know. We become almost, I guess you could say we become brothers in here.
Do you, initially at least, was there a lot of talk about the trials, the situation, the night, anything like that? There's a lot of stuff that you sort of, were you able to lean on each other in that way?
I feel that they're innocent, you know, and I didn't know from when it all started. I didn't know anything, you know, but as the years kind of moved on, you know, when this first happened, we've all kind of leaned on each other, you know, and it's kind of strange that that 4 people get picked up and not one of them turns, I guess, state's evidence, you know, because usually that's what happens, but I know I'm innocent and I feel that they're innocent, and we're just going to fight this to the end.
You think that says something? That's a strong statement, the fact that nobody's state's evidence. All 4 of you have maintained, certainly from the outside, looking in, you see 4 young men accused and sentenced.
Yeah.
And none of them turned state's evidence, all continuing to maintain their innocence. It seems significant. I feel like that's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah, yeah.
The tattoo, I noticed half.
Yeah.
Is there any significance to that? Is that just?
Well, actually, I got that here in jail. You know, I don't know. It's if you guys want to see it, I can show you. I'm a Scorpio, so I just decided I should get a scorpion tattoo. You know, I don't know why I got it, and if I could go back, I probably wouldn't get it. You know, but this I was maybe young and confused back then, you know. It's it's the only tattoo I got, so yeah. Thank you.
Were the others offered a deal too?
I think maybe one or two of them got offered something, but I'm not real too sure about that.
How do you survive in here? What do you have to do? Do you have to cotton attitude? Do you have to just...
I try to stick to myself most of the time, you know, but sometimes you can't do that in here. I know Kevin, Eugene, and George are always there for me, you know. You actually meet some pretty interesting people in here, you know. I don't try not to make too many friends in here, you know. But I have made a couple of friends, but most of the time I try to stay to myself, you know. Keep to myself, don't get in any other people's business, I guess. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Any message you want to give your supporters?
Yeah, I'd like to thank them. You know, they've been behind me, I think, through this whole ordeal, and I urge them just not to give up on me or my co-defendants. I really need their support, you know. It keeps me strong inside, you know. Just keep on fighting for freedom.
Is that what you look at? That's what outside is? Getting outside this?
Yeah. I dream of being on the other side of these gates, you know. Dream of living a free life, you know. Doing things that freedom will bring, you know. I wanted to add something. I think somebody out there, they have information to the John Hartman murder, and I think they should come forward. It's been past time to step forward and tell maybe my lawyer or whoever what you know.
You're talking about Chris Hartman? Chris Scott?
I don't want to say names, but I think if you know some, step forward so this whole thing, the truth can come out. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate talking.
No problem. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, you know. Maybe some truth will come out of this.
I have to believe eventually the system's going to work.
Yeah. I believe, I think I'll get a new trial. I'm pretty positive about that, so. Once my trial starts, then that's when another battle starts in this little war. Yeah, and just got to keep fighting. Never give up, because I know I'm innocent.